Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we're here at the gorgeous W Hotel. And folks, it is the annual Hoboken Public Education Foundation's Gala, and that's why your boy is all dressed up nice. And joining us is an extremely special guest, the new executive director of the HPEF, and that is our good friend, Allison Strobel. Allison, welcome to the Pulse.
Thanks so much, Peter.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Very happy to be here.
Well, we're very, very happy to have you on, and congratulations on your new role. I was just wondering if you want to give the audience a little bit of a background about yourself.
Sure. So I have been a Hoboken resident since 2006. I've got 2 kids in the public school district in pre-K 4 and in 2nd grade. And for the last 6 or 7 years in particular, I've been working in nonprofit and public sector roles in human service and social service, public service program development and implementation, most recently at the Jersey City Housing Authority. And I'm just really excited to dive into this role, to join this incredible team of volunteers and to drive forward the mission and the work that they've been executing so wonderfully, all volunteer powered for so many years, and take them to the next level and see through the vision of the founders of the organization, and my own particular interest in supporting them in strategic planning and implementation and broadening and deepening partnerships and collaborations across the city.
That is phenomenal. Wow. I mean, it's a good guess when I can't even ask a follow-up question after that. Allison, you are the inaugural executive director. You were the first. What are some of your goals besides everything you just mentioned? Maybe a little more specific goals about where you want to see the foundation use your resources for.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the foundation has accomplished so much. Since 2015, they've raised $2 million fully on volunteer power. This is the 7th annual gala tonight. There will be over 500 guests in attendance. We're so deeply appreciative of some really fantastic and longstanding sponsors, most notably Advanced Realty and Bijou. And I would love to be able to support the foundation in the coming years in further developing those partnerships, reaching out to new groups and developing collaborations with other community leaders and in particular local organizations. I think there's a lot of untapped opportunities for collaboration and partnership that, specifically because the group's been entirely volunteer run, they just haven't had the capacity to chase and tackle. So that's what I see as my role.
Absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations again. And as you mentioned, there's going to be over 500 guests here tonight at this 7th annual gala, probably one of the largest ever from my understanding. The funds specifically that are raised tonight, how is it going to affect the students of the district schools?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So the funds every year, in a lot of cases, there are programs that are ongoing that the foundation continues to fund. Field trips is a great example, Chromebooks, ongoing Orton Gillingham literacy certification instruction for our educators in K through 8 is another good example, and a range of programs that are ongoing. This year, there's a very specific and exciting need that the district has expressed. The 2024-2025 school year is going to be the year of sciences. Wow. So the fundraising that happens tonight at this wonderful gala and also online on the silent auction that's been going on throughout the course of this week is going to support the year of sciences in the school district, specifically games and really engaging and interactive educational resources for our youngest learners in K through 2, classroom resources and STEM toolkits and materials for STEM projects for an end-of-year exhibition for grades 3 through 8. And all of this will develop opportunities for high schoolers to play mentoring roles for those younger students. So it's really going to have a massive impact across the district, and most notably fund science classrooms in brand so that all of the elementary schools across the district have the resources and the tools that our K through 5 students need to really deepen their STEM experience and exposure.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. Allison Strobel, the brand new executive and first executive director of the Hoboken Public Education Foundation. Congratulations again, and thank you. Thank you for giving the resources needed for the district students to succeed in all their potentials. And I really, really appreciate you coming on today, and best of luck tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, and we're actually going to come right back with one of your sponsors that you mentioned, so it should be a lot of fun. Thanks again, I really appreciate it. All right, folks, as promised, when we come back in a few seconds, we will have a sponsor here at the gorgeous Hoboken Public Education Foundation Annual Gala. We'll be right back. All right, folks, as promised, we're here with one of the all-star sponsors here at the Hoboken Public Education Foundation Annual Gala at the W Hotel, and that is my good friend, Chris Corbin, who is the founder of Hive Athletics and the Hive Sports Foundation. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Exactly. I love the shirt, by the way. You know, I'm not saying I want one, but I want one. But that's a different story for a different time.
We'll get you out there playing soon enough.
Exactly. Trust me, I'm going to need it. Anyway, Chris, I think the first thing that the audience should know is, what is Hive Athletics and what is the Hive Sports Foundation?
Absolutely. Great question. And thanks for asking. Thanks for having me on. So Hive Athletic, we are an adult social sports league here in Hoboken and throughout Hudson County. Cool. We run kickball, volleyball, football, soccer, softball, pickleball, cornhole, you name it, we play it. All of our leagues are currently for adults, and we do happy hour after every game. Our whole goal is to bring people together to have fun, make friends, build community.
That is phenomenal. Absolutely fun. Speaking of community, you are, like I said, one of the premier sponsors tonight.
Yes.
Why did you sponsor the gala tonight?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the Hive Athletic, we want to build community. And so by running these sports leagues, we are able to give back. And so we created the Hive Sports Foundation, which allows us to sponsor events like this. Our goal as the Hive Sports Foundation is to make sure that all kids have access to play. That is playing sports, that's making new friends, experiencing the joys that come from friendly competition. I know personally growing up, sports was such a big part of my life, and we want to make sure that all kids have that ability, and what better way to do that than helping out the schools.
Yeah, that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and thank you for doing that. As you know, all of the money raised by the foundation goes to the betterment of the Hoboken District schools, and that's super, super important. But I want to go back to Hive now. So talk to me. So that if I'm just a young professional, which I still consider myself young, I don't know how professional I am. But anyway, if I'm a young professional and I want to be more involved, it's more than just, you know, playing on a team, but it's a social gathering because of the happy hours. Am I right or wrong about that?
You are 100% correct. And there is no better way to make new friends when you first move to town than by joining a sports league. Whether that's kickball, volleyball, football, soccer, sign up as an individual. You can sign up with your roommate. You can sign up with your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Wow.
We're going to place you on a team with other players. We're going to help fill out your roster, and then you've got 15 best new friends, and you're part of the community from day one.
That's phenomenal. And for anybody watching at home who might be interested in either making new friends or, joining one of the fabulous sports as a part of Hive, how can they join?
Sure.
And maybe some of the things that they can, expect while participating.
Yeah, so again, hiveathletic.com is our website. Anyone can register there. You can sign up as an individual, with a group of friends, or with a full team. Mm-hmm. We have different levels of competition. So if you want to play competitive, if you are a college soccer player, you can play in a competitive league. If you've never played before and you just want to play volleyball for the very first time, or you want to try pickleball, which is incredibly
popular. I was going to say, how many tennis courts are turning into pickleball courts now?
Well, that's a question for the city council. But with all seriousness, we just want to get people playing and having fun, and that's our specialty. You mentioned we do happy hour after every game. So even if you're not a stellar athlete, there's still a place for you. And we're going to put you on a team with other people that are more interested in having fun than they are about winning the game.
Phenomenal. And the Hive Sports Foundation, and you touched upon this a little earlier, is more than just, obviously supporting this wonderful gala. I was wondering if you can discuss a lot of the different community service things that the foundation does.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So,
Sure.
in addition to sponsoring the gala, we are also helping the Hoboken Public Education Fund, our foundation, organize a 5K in September, a back-to-school 5K that we are extremely excited about. We also work with the Boys and Girls Club. We work with Community Lifestyle. We work with any number of youth organizations within the greater Hoboken, Hudson County area who are helping kids play.
Phenomenal. Well, Chris Corbin, who is the founder of the Hive Athletic. Why did I say Hoboken? Hive Athletic, because it's a Hoboken tradition, right?
Absolutely.
And the Hive Sports Foundation. Thank you, congratulations, and thank you for your support tonight at the gala. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And let's get you out playing soon.
Absolutely. I was going to say, you promise to be on a future show?
100%.
I absolutely love it. Thanks again, my man.
All right,
Really
have a good
appreciate
one.
it. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching the Pulse with Peter B, and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Hey, welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. I am not Peter B. I am Kevin R. Free, and I am hosting this segment here on the stage of Miles Square Theater, where I am the artistic director. I want to introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, Peter Michael Marino.
Oh, me?
Yeah, who is currently performing the play that he wrote, Show Up Kids, on our stage at Miles Square Theater. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Kevin.
Can I call you Pete?
You can. I'm Peter M. You're Kevin R. The director's last name is very similar to Peter's.
Biancasino.
And
Biancamano.
So we're just meant to be
We're a family. We're all meant to be here. So tell me about Show Up Kids.
Well, it's here on this stage.
Yes? Okay. Tell me everything.
And
You've got 9
it
minutes.
is a wild, interactive family adventure, I'll call it, because we never know what's going to happen every show.
Yeah, why don't we know what's going to happen every show?
Because half the show is improvised.
What?
And that means making stuff up.
Wait,
yeah.
and so tell me, okay, so tell me how that works with the kids. It is a show for kids, right?
It
And we
is.
ask them to show up and bring their full selves to the theater to see this show. What do the kids do in the show?
Well, the kids think that the kids know they're coming to Show Up Kids. I introduced the show as the person who's just helping out. We're actually here for Sally, the silly song singer, who's going to amaze us and use all the stuff and sing songs. Sally doesn't show up.
What?
So then Pete feels like he has to do the show.
Right,
But
because
has no
there are so many
idea.
people here.
Exactly. How do I do a show? I don't even know what a kid is. I don't know anything. And then we talk about, well, there's props, they're used in a show, and there's costume. Look, I'm literally going to where they are. And there's set. We can probably make our own story here by using the things here. So which prop do you like? Which costume do you like? Where does it take place? By the way, whenever you ask where it takes place, kids love to say India. It's very popular.
Really?
Yeah, they say India a lot. They say really crazy places. Like, I wish they would just say like a bakery. You know, not like,
Yes.
I got the pyramids the other day.
Yeah, but if you say bakery, they're probably going to expect you to have cookies and
Well, we're
and
using
whatnot.
our imagination, so we can have cookies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me the history of the show. How did it come to be? So I've known Peter for a while, Pete, for a while, and I saw a version of the show that was for adults, right? That was a different story altogether.
Yeah. Show Up Kids wasn't even like, it wasn't even a cell. Like when Show Up was created, It's a one-person show that spoofs one-person shows.
Right.
The similarities are that in Show Up, I am out of stories. I have no more tragedy in my life to turn into a 90-minute show.
Yes.
So tell me all of your tragedies. So I get a love story, a job story, a medical story, a whatever.
Yeah.
And then poof, I improvise a fictional one-person show,
Yes.
complete with all of the things that we love to love about solo shows.
And I recall that show moved me so much. I loved that show.
Thank you.
So how did that show, Show Up, turn into Show Up Kids?
So someone who I don't know came to see the show and found me afterwards and said, I want to write you a check to go into public schools to teach kids how to do a solo show. And I was like, I would never want to teach anyone how to do this. That is the worst thing you could possibly teach someone. It's lonely, there's no money in it, it takes forever, and the audience is this big.
Yeah.
I said, how about this? How about I do a similar show, but it teaches kids about theater and the arts and creativity and saying yes and storytelling using a lot of the same elements. And he was like, here's your check.
Wow.
So then I got together with Nicole, my director. This is 6 years ago, because shows take a long time to develop. She has 3 kids, 2 of whom were like exactly the right age for this, what we were writing for. I literally went to Vermont for a long weekend and tried stuff out at the dinner table.
Wow.
And then finally she was like, okay, tonight you're doing the show in the living room and the kids are gonna be there and we'll see how it goes. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Okay.
And they were falling all over the place. They just loved it.
And so you've done this show all over the world now. Show
Yes.
Up Kids. You've done it all over the world.
Yeah, so we did a little bit of a run at the Crane Theater in downtown New York, the East Side, and then it went well. So we were like, let's bring this to Edinburgh, which is the largest arts festival in the world.
Yes.
And competing against 3,500 other shows, but it's a kids show, so at least it's a niche audience, and it went really, really well. And it was very cool to see how the cultures are different, how their storytelling and their understanding of improvisation actually is different than ours. And it did really well there. And so then we got like a slew of reviews, and then suddenly it was like, okay, let's just keep doing it. And then we did. And then suddenly pandemic came,
Yes.
and
Y'all remember that.
it was a good time. And then we had to figure out, I was like, well, look, all these kids are stuck at home. I'm someone who entertains families. We need to figure out how to do this. We figured out how to do it on Zoom. Sometimes we'd have 50 kids from all over the world at the same time. We figured out how to call on people and how to get them to sort of blah, blah, blah. And yeah, and now we're here.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you get to Miles Square Theater?
I don't know. I know that you called me like 8 months ago and was like, hey, let's do Show Up Kids at our theater. And I was like, okay, because I'm just used to like some weird museum in Connecticut going, hey, you want to do the show? Or some pier in Harlem, you want to do the show? So I was like, sure. Will I have a place to stay? And you're like, it's literally through the tunnel. I was like, oh, sorry, I've never been to your theater before. No problem. I just started working here. Okay, great. So
I love telling people how to get to Hoboken. They all think that it's going to take a really long time.
and it just was nice to like have like, look, when we did it downtown, it was like with 20 other shows happening, so you really can't like create your own space. And here, this is like the first time in 5 years that we have like a full set and lights and everything.
Yeah.
And luckily your team here and our team, we're all on the same page. And
Yeah.
we're all twisted in some way.
Shout out to Jen Price-Fick and Emmett Grosslin who designed this set.
Yeah.
You see all of the colors and all of the things here. I hadn't seen it until I got here today. And I'm flabbergasted and overjoyed, and some of it is going to stay forever. I mean, it's just really beautiful. I think you should all come and bring your kids to see this show and see Pete in the show. It's called Show Up Kids. We are Miles Square Theater. We're at 1400 Clinton Street. You can get your tickets at www.milesquaretheater.org. I just wanted to give you that shout out, and then I want to go back to you, Pete.
Oh,
hey, Pete. Hey, what's up?
hi.
Welcome. Where did you go?
I
You
was
were gone
watching
for a second.
commercials.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So, what is your favorite part about doing the show? Like,
My favorite part is not knowing what I'm doing every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been very fortunate to be in long-running shows with a script,
Yeah.
and I just get bored really fast saying the same thing. So I like not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's like a great exchange of energy with the kids,
Yeah.
sort of. I like that I can just be ridiculous. Like the stories don't even have to really make sense.
Yeah.
Although I try, they work very hard to make sure that they don't make sense.
Of course.
You know?
Of course they do.
And also,
Because it's fun.
I just love that like adults like it.
Yeah.
The first
So adults can come see this show.
100%.
Yes.
This is for 3 to 10-year-olds, but really it's for adults.
Yeah.
Like truly, my second draft of the script was for adults.
Oh, love that. And what is your favorite part about doing the show in Hoboken at Miles Square Theater?
Trader Joe's right across the street.
Boom.
Went down to the waterfront, saw all the little
Hey.
things there.
Love
It's really
it.
easy to get here.
Yeah. Have you taken the ferry yet?
Almost.
Okay.
It's a
You
little
will.
more expensive,
It is. It
and
is.
I want to find out if I can take my bike on it.
Oh, I think you can. I think you
Does
can.
anyone out there have any connections to the ferry system? Because I want to know.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano back in the host chair and still here at the gorgeous Miles Square Theater located at 1400 Clinton Street. And we want to thank Kevin and Peter for doing that awesome job last segment. I am going to finally give Josh his working papers out the door, the pink slip, and Kevin and Peter are invited back anytime. But a person who's always excited to come on the show, I believe, is our third ward councilman, Mr. Michael Russo. Great to see you, brother.
You too.
How's it going?
Very good, man.
Exactly. Michael, you know, we like to have a lot of fun on this show.
Absolutely.
But as of this filming, it is a Tuesday this week. Last night, there was a tragic incident that occurred at the Hoboken Housing Authority where a young man, I believe 21 years old, unfortunately was shot and killed.
Yes.
You've been on the council over 20 years. I think you're pushing close to 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. Your father, of course, was mayor here. This is an isolated incident in Hoboken, correct?
Yeah, it was an isolated incident, but it's one of those things that we always want to be aware of, right? So through the years, we've had different incidents like this happen at the Housing Authority. Hopefully, they will always be these one-off types of shootings. But it really is a tragedy for our city. This was a young man who had an amazing life ahead of him. He was a graduate of Hoboken High, played sports here. He was in the prime of his life, and unfortunately for this ridiculous incident, this young man now lost his life, and someone else is going to lose theirs because of this travesty. So it's horrible.
It really, really is. And for residents at home, Michael, can you assure them that crime is not going up in Hoboken?
Yeah, and that's always the first thing that
Violent
we're
crime,
asked.
that is.
Yeah,
Sorry,
correct.
yes, yeah.
Most specifically, violent
Right.
crime. It's always the first thing that we get asked as leaders in the city. Is it safe for my child to go play at Mama Johnson Field? Is it safe for my teenage daughter to walk down on Jackson Street? And the short answer is, of course it is. We always want to be vigilant. We always want to make sure that we're safe. We always want to make sure that we have eyes and ears around the city and make sure that our kids are doing what they need to do. But overall, the city is safe. Our police force does a tremendous job. There's always room for improvement, and we'll continue to make those improvements as we need to.
All right, well, moving on, Michael, because there's always hot topics in Hoboken.
Sure.
And the first hot topic has been talked about on this show multiple times through Ron Simoncini, who, of course, is the executive director of the Miles Square Taxpayers Association, and Cheryl Fallick, who is the spokeswoman of the Hoboken Fair Housing Alliance, who will be on next week's show, by the way. There's a referendum out there. From what Ron said to us just a few weeks ago, there are enough signatures for it to go out to the ballot, but it's really first up to the city council to try to make amends before it goes out to the voters of Hoboken. Where do we stand today?
Yeah, so a little different than how you explained it. There are signatures There is no referendum as of yet, but we all know that that's coming, right? So we're not trying to kid anybody that you know,
I was jumping the gun. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
they're most likely going to submit those signatures, and there will be a referendum. The city council then has the opportunity to kind of sit down, talk to all parties, and see if we can come up with some legislation that everyone would be happy to support. Last year, we were able to do that with not only two of the members that you spoke of. One was Ron Simoncini and Cheryl Fallick. They were able to get in a room, who we never thought would ever get in a room and accomplish something. And they brought forth some legislation, and that was passed. Unfortunately, the mayor decided that it wasn't something that he wanted to support, so it was vetoed. So now we're back in the situation, and we want to make sure that we get it right. And that's really the goal here. We want to make sure we get it right, not just for landlords and not just for tenants, but for everybody in the city of Hoboken.
And hopefully this was a lesson learned by the administration, you know, and like you said, you'd want to try to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were in the headlines, Michael, a lot after the last city council meeting. You basically raised your voice, you know, I'm trying to be pleasant here, to a fellow councilman, Councilman at Large Joe Quintero, about a comment he made at a committee meeting disparaging Italian Americans.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, you know, I'm Italian American like you. My parents, of course, were born in Italy. You know, hearing this kind of shocked me because I know Joe, and I don't really see kind of a prejudiced bone in his body, but who knows what was said? I mean, you were in that committee meeting. I was just wondering if you want to elaborate. Possibly
Yeah, sure.
on that.
And look, I know Joe too, right? And I respect him and I like him. You know, and I still like him. It was just one of those things that, you know, he made a comment, and it was an off-color comment, and we were in the privacy of a committee meeting, and I took it to offense. You know, I've grown up my entire life, and you know, you hear those, hey, Goomba, how you doing, right? Joey Bag of Donuts, this, that, the other thing, and at some point that starts to get to you.
Right.
And if you're out in a social setting, it's not as offensive. But when you're in an official committee meeting and you're talking about a garbage contract in the city of Hoboken, and the owners of that garbage company happen to be Italian Americans, it becomes more offensive. And, you know, at that point, I really wasn't going to make a big deal out of it, but things escalated at the last council meeting, and some comments were made. I don't know if the mics picked up on them, but I most certainly heard Joe. And I got offended again, and I brought that to light. And it was just one of those things that I'm tired of people making those disparaging comments, even when they try to backpedal and say, well, it's not really what I meant, or it's not really how, you know, how you took it. Well, please don't ever tell me how to take something, especially if you're a non-Italian American. I like to hear all the non-Italian Americans tell me, well, that's really not a big deal, right?
Right.
For me, it is. And it was something that, you know, came about the way it did.
And what's the aftermath now? Have you guys spoke since the meeting?
You know, briefly, and I'm sure we'll speak again. You know, and look, the only thing I've asked of Joe and anyone else that makes comments like that, acknowledge what you did, acknowledge it was a mistake, say you're sorry. We're forgiving people, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal at that point, but everyone has to be held to account.
Absolutely. I do want to touch up on this. There is, of course, the congressional race coming up between the Hoboken Mayor, Ravi Bala. There will be a forum coming up for all you at home. Stay tuned to our social media platforms for that, against the incumbent Rob Menendez Jr. You came out and you supported Rob Menendez Jr. just recently, about a few weeks ago or so. You know, the mayor supported you in the past for your council race. What steered you towards the incumbent in this race?
Yeah, for me, you know, there's always a choice in an election. I know it's been getting a little heated amongst the two candidates and their supporters. It's not the way I approach things, right? I look at the candidates. I think Rob has done an exceptional job as our congressman in such a short time. He's brought a ton of money back to our district, specifically Hoboken, right? Like, I mean, I know we as council members, we love to always, you know, sit up tall and tout all of our accomplishments, but there's always people behind us, right? There's the levels of the county and the state and the federal government, and Rob has been a partner in all of that, and that was one of the main reasons why I think he really deserves to be elected for a second term.
Absolutely. And Michael, you know, the mayoral race in Hoboken is coming up in about, I would say, what, about a year and a half, a little less than a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken?
19 months.
19 months, yeah, who's counting? Anyway, what would you like to see, what direction would you like to see the city go between now and next November's race, when it's called silly season in the city?
And listen, Pete, that's a show in itself, right? So, I mean, I would love to get into all of that, but the main point that I always make to everyone is that there are policies that are in place that are working, and we want to continue to see them work. But there are policies that just aren't, and we need to make those changes. Some very significant policies that I think are really important is housing in the city of Hoboken. You know, when going back to the rent control issue, right? People talk about rent control as if they were talking about affordable housing. For me, I think that those elected officials who tout that as an affordable housing initiative are scared to make a real decision when it comes to affordable housing. We need to build affordable housing, not just for low income, not just for very low income, but for middle income. We need our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers, our nurses, our servers. They all need to be housed in the city that they work. Because right now they get in their car and they drive out of Hoboken during rush hour.
Wow.
And that gets into the traffic and transportation issue in Hoboken as well, right?
Totally.
So a lot of these things are really intertwined, and it's really important that we kind of address them all.
All right. Well, Councilman, we are over time, but I'm not going to let you off the hook here. I brought up the mayoral race coming up in 2025. You have raised a significant amount of money. I think it's somewhere in the 200,000, 220,000 range. Are you willing to give your good buddy that you've known for over 20 years a Pulse exclusive today announcing your candidacy for mayor?
Peter, I've told you this in the past. I will tell you again. I will serve this city in any capacity that my constituency sees fit, whether that's a councilman, whether that's the dog catcher, whether that's the mayor or anything else. But Hoboken is my home, and that's where I am, and that's where I'll always be.
All right. I'll take that answer since we're over time. All right. Third Ward Councilman Michael Russo, you're invited here anytime.
Thank you.
Please.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you,
All right.
man. All right, folks. Join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.